Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by silent invocation.
We have an indicator.
No, we have a pastor.
Excellent. Not so silent invocation. Sure. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Another prayer yet? Prayer.
Let us pray. Today, as we enter the season of thanks, we recognize the blessings we have. The food on our table, the roofs over our heads, the good fortune of living as free people. Help us to show our thanks here this evening by using our collective gifts, minds, and hearts to do what is best for the people of Port Orange. May the thoughts and actions of this meeting and our City Council reflect thankful hearts and grateful hope in our future together. Amen.
Amen. Pastor, could you just introduce yourself and tell everybody where you're from?
Pastor Tom Nelson from First United Methodist Church of Port Orange.
Woo!
Thanks, Pastor.
Thank you.
Any strong feelings there, Jake?
I had to give my pastor his props, I guess.
Call the roll.
Councilman Tremont.
Here.
Councilman Bastian.
Here.
Councilman Stiltner.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ford.
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here, 5-0. Public comments on consent agenda items. Anybody want to speak to anything that's on the consent agenda? Council? Being none. Agenda approval?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All resolution. We'll call the roll.
Councilman Tremont.
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ford.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Items 6, 7, and 8 are approved. Citizen participation agenda item, Pinnacle Phase 2, utility bill late fee waiver request. And I saw, who's doing that?
That's you, right?
Come on up.
Jimmy?
When I said 5 minutes, I meant more like 5 seconds.
Jim's young, he can hurry.
Jim Paytas Homes. I'm here to request a waiver of a late fee. I'm prepaying 3 years worth of utility fees that are being prepaid, and finance has a late fee in there because we're past the due date. But in reality, we're prepaying a utility fee, so just requesting it, and we're here because your ordinance says we need to get a late fee waived, we need to come before you. I assumed you guys had a little background. Should I give it to you? Okay, so as we're doing to get our final in Pinnacle Park, we had to add 3 street lights, which we buy and give to the city. Also, as a requirement, we need to prepay utility fees 3 years in advance. So we prepay those utility fees as part of our final inspection. We bring a check in, we get a notice back that says we're late. We're prepaying utility fees, which is part of that requirement. So because we passed a due date that was actually listed, I guess, by finance that said we were past the due date. So I'm asking to waive the late fee because we're still prepaying something that hasn't been paid yet by you guys.
Mayor, this is an ordinance that we established for late bill payment, and it fell under the late bill payment. If I had the authority to do this, I would have done it. Unfortunately, there's no city manager approval, so it had to come here. I asked Mr. Paytas to come just in case there were any questions, but there are none from staff.
I had spoken to Mr. Paytas before about this, and it does create a separate issue that as the city manager, the city, essentially our CEO, that at some point maybe us as a council ought to be able to empower our CEO to do the things and make the decisions it takes to give good customer service.
We'll take a look at it.
I think we should.
Yes. I move that we waive the late fee.
Second.
I have a motion from the Vice Mayor and a second from Councilman Bastian to waive the late fee. Anybody else like to speak to this? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Tremont.
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ford.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, nah, I won't be spiteful. 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
I would like to look into that that policy shift, and to authorize the manager on various waivers such as that.
I think we're all in agreement, Jake, if you could look at some reasonable wording that we can look at it.
Yeah, but I think any waiver must be reported to council.
I'll talk to Margaret. We'll get some wording in there, and
We'll have to discuss it.
and take a look at what's smart to allow and what's smart not to.
I don't want to put the manager in a compromising situation either.
Well, and I think that we've asked him to put this, let's not get too deep into a
Yep.
discussion, because we're just gonna have the discussion again
Yeah,
when it's
we'll
on
do
the agenda.
We'll do that, and I concur with Councilman Ford about reporting.
One last comment. I do understand why it was there. So I do understand why it's there. I just wanted to go through the motion so you guys could see the need to hopefully clean up something like that.
We
And it was
appreciate
good
your
to see.
prepayment, Jimmy.
Okay.
Are you trying to talk us out of it?
No, I'm not.
With that in mind, before we get into citizen participation, Jake, if you could do me a favor and give us an update on our TNR status, because I know most people here are about that, so might as well hear it up front.
Sure will. As you well know, we went through some back and forth with the budget in the budget process, and at the end of the day, we had the TNR program in there for quite some time, but at the end of the day, I was cutting staff, and you heard other people talking earlier about it. Cutting staff services to a position where I didn't think I was comfortable cutting anymore. So I went and looked at programs. I looked at the summer recreation program, which we ended up kind of buckling down and taking a good look for and saving. I looked at the Babe Ruth baseball program, which will be self-funded by a fee resolution hopefully later in the year, where the people participating will be funding that. And then I looked at the TNR program. The TNR program used to be funded by grant money, and as the years went on, probably during the 2008, 9, 10 time frame, that grant money went away. At the end of the day, I think the last time we looked at it, it was $250 worth of grant money, and it would have cost us about $400 in our grant manager to our contract grant manager to get it done, so it wasn't worth even applying for. So throughout the years, the city's been obligating money from the general fund for that program. This year, I determined that we just couldn't afford it. It's not that it was a bad program. It's just that I didn't have the money for it without cutting something else that I felt I couldn't cut. So fast forward to over the weekend, I guess since Thursday, Assistant City Manager Rosen has talked to many people from CCFAW, and we have come to the conclusion that we think it's best to fund the program. I guess there's only 4 or 5 more days left where they can accept appointments to do the neuter program. So we're going to work with CCFAW and continue to fund that for I think $1,400 to the end of the year. And I saw on my calendar creator that we're setting up a meeting to meet with them to look for a logical way ahead. I would like to see, like with some or most other programs, a little more skin in the game from other people, so the city's not paying 100%. There are other people that do grants. As you well know, we currently, I don't feel we can afford a contract grants manager, and later on in this council meeting, we'll be asking to bring that in-house. That might bear some fruit. And although we haven't had conversations yet, I would like to meet with CCFAW to see if they have any options for people they may know that have grants that we haven't looked into yet. We've looked pretty hard, but no stone goes unturned. We'll see what we can find. But right now, the feral cat population, we feel here at the city, is being not controlled, monitored, and they're doing the best they can. And my goal is to control it to the point where you all are happy. I know there's environmental factors. I know there's ecological factors with having feral cats around, and I don't just want to. I don't want to buy an aspirin. I want to cure the ailment. So that's what I would like to work with them moving forward.
In the most humane way possible, of course.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm not ignorant that that it kind of gathered a life of its own on Facebook over the weekend, and I'm not ignorant to some of the comments. At no time did I, and I don't think any of my staff has talked about euthanasia as one of our options. So I'd like to put that to bed now, that has never been anything that Alan Rosen and I have discussed from a policy standpoint with our portion of it. But as you well know, Mayor and Council, that there are a lot of great programs out there that benefit this city, some of which we currently do not pay for. Some of which we paid for in the past and we don't pay for anymore. I'm not saying this isn't a great idea for the community. I'm just saying right now I can't afford the whole cost.
Okay. What I want to do is we all have council comments. Let's hear from the public first on all this, and then we'll come back to us during council comments, which immediately follows, and then we can have our discussion. Pat, I wanted you to go first, if you don't mind.
Good evening. I'm Pat Mahalik. I'm one of the co-founders of Concerned Citizens for Animal Welfare. We have
address too.
Oh, my address, 216 Yorktown Drive, Daytona Beach.
Thank you.
We have, for the past 8 years, put new programs, TNR programs, throughout every city and the county in Volusia County. Every one of them has a TNR program. Some aren't the same as yours, but they're all TNR program, because there is no way to control the population of feral cats without a TNR program. You cannot trap and kill your way out of the overpopulation. There is no way to do that. You can have 20 cats in a colony and take 19 of them away and miss one female cat. That female cat has 4 kittens. Those kittens can get pregnant at 4 months old. In 6 months, you're back to square one. You cannot kill your way out of this, and that's what happens. There is no land where you take the animals, you take them to the Humane Society, and there's no place for them to put them. They're not the bad guys. People who abandon cats are the bad guys. They're killed. If you take a mother cat and kittens there, they go down because they're not tameable. So, and you all pay $94 a head to take them there. So if you take a mother cat and 4 kittens, that costs you $500 out of your impoundment budget. So every cat that you take, every kitten that you take is $94. Last year, you took 445 cats to Halifax Humane Society. This is above and beyond the TNR program. This year, the first 9 months of this year, you've taken 337 cats to the Humane Society. So you have spent this year, in 9 months, killing cats, $32,000 out of your impoundment budget. If these cats had been fixed, instead of being taken to the Humane Society, they would have cost you $14,000. So you've wasted a whole boatload of taxpayer dollars. Your ACOs are not following the rules. The program was set up so that if there's a cat problem, they call us first. They call us and tell us that there is a problem. We have not received one call since you changed ACOs. Not one. Not one call. Yet, if you read, I passed out, or I brought you paperwork here, but I'll tell you, in May, your ACO brought 57 cats to the Humane Society. Did I get a call in May that there was a problem with cats? No. In June, she brought 65 cats there. Did I get a call about it? No. And I can go on and on. I'll give you the paperwork. And these numbers are from Halifax Humane Society. Do you want me to keep talking?
Counsel?
Let her finish.
Okay, I won't be long. You spent last year, your last fiscal year, you spent $15,959 on feral cats, on the TNR program. That's what you spent. If you, right this year, you have $45,000 in your impoundment budget. So according to these numbers, you're going to use that and more if these numbers keep up, because you're already to $32,000 for through September. So you've used that money up. So you're averaging anywhere from 30 to 40 to 50 cats a month to take them in. If we could do the TNR program and get the calls, you'd see a much better return on your money. Return to field is an option also. Instead of your ACO taking them to the Humane Society, they take them to the Redinger Clinic and get them fixed for less than half the money. It costs you an average of $43, $50 for a female, $37 for a male. And usually it's half and half. So you end up paying about $43 a head, where you're paying $94 to kill them. And that's the only choice. There is no, like Mr. Johansson said, that he has alternative programs. He's looking at alternative programs. There is no alternative programs for feral cats. You either fix them and put them back, or you take them to the shelter and then they don't get adopted. There's no way. And like again I said, the shelter isn't the bad guy. There's no place to put them. So every city in this county and the county itself has a TNR program where they're saving money doing this. And now you have been the model to set up all of these programs. Every program was set up on this model. You were celebrated by the Humane Society of the United States, by the American, by the ASPCA, by Alley Cat Allies. All have articles and magazines that you have been put into as the hierarchy of the communities that have TNR. We have pictures in magazines from colonies that are here in your city. Now you're going to dump a program that costs you half as much as the program as taking them to the shelter. Makes no sense.
Pat, who would you normally get a phone call from when you say you didn't receive a call?
Our ACO.
The ACO. If you get a, say there's all your calls are all complaint driven. So whenever the when the ACO goes to where it is, say there's 10 cats there, instead of explaining the program, from what they tell me, because we get the calls then, because they tell them that you can only have 4 cats in Port Orange. They're giving them the rules for owned cats, and they don't tell them anything about the TNR program. So they take away the other 6 cats to the Humane Society at $94 a head, and they leave the 4 cats that are there to, whatever, keep breeding, because you now only have 4 cats, and it's up to you to get them fixed, because you now own the cats. It's not an owned program. It's like the program here has just gone completely awry, and nobody's following the rules. Right. So
Mayor, I've indicated that we're going to work with them to find out if there are any holes, and resolve them if there are. We've been exactly here before about 6 months ago, but if you recall, you also relied on me to find out where to get that money, and this is one of the places I found it. So I can play whack-a-mole with funds all year long, and I will continue to cut from here and there, and people will come up from different special interest groups throughout the year until the end of the year. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. Having said that,
I want to say something.
And I'm still speaking, Vice Mayor Ford. That I'm willing to work with CCFAW, and if I can come up with a way to get from point A to point B, and Alan and I are still working on possible ways to fund this without general fund money, I might be able to come up with a win-win.
You've had your chance.
Sir, you can't do that.
Okay.
That's
Pat, do you have anything else to add?
No, well, no, I mean, I just,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Bob Belt?
Commissioners, my name's Bob Belt. I live at 2605 Fairmont Avenue in New Smyrna Beach. I am a volunteer for Concerned Citizens for Animal Welfare. I'm also a board member of the Southeast Police Humane Society, and I am the vice chairman of the Animal Control Board for the city of New Smyrna Beach. I have been practicing TNR for many years. I've stood in front of this board before, and I think some of you have been here a while, recognize me. Basically, with someone with experience that has been doing it a long time, knows your options. You have 3 options, only 3. When it comes to dealing with free roaming cats, because they're not all feral cats, they're throwaway cats, so they're abandoned stray cats, most of them. When it comes to dealing with them, you got 3 choices. You either do nothing, which is what most cities have done for a long time, which led up to the problem that we have now. You can attempt to trap and remove as many as you possibly can with the resources you have available to you and spend lots of money having those cats euthanized. And I know you say you don't euthanize cats, and of course you don't euthanize cats. We don't euthanize cats either. But the shelter has to do that just because of the volume of cats they get, and there's no place to take them. So, and that's why you get charged $94 a piece. And when your residents take the cats there, you're going to be charged $94 a piece, whether your animal control takes them or not. Your third choice is to do TNR, which will be the only resolution to the problem long term, because in order to stop the population, you have to stop the reproduction. And your animal control department cannot go out and trap enough cats to make any difference. The people that can trap the cats are the people that take care of the cats. The people that feed the cats, you can wish all you want to that they won't feed the cats, but they'll feed the cats. They've been feeding the cats for hundreds of years, and you're never going to stop that. So years ago, we realized that if we can't work against them, we work with them. So we work with them to get the cats, and they want to get the cats. They don't want to continue to spend more and more money feeding cats. They want to stop the production. And so if you can work with them, and what's the whole program's designed to do, is they will trap the cats and get them fixed, and all you have to do is pay the bill, and you save 50% at the same time. But if you don't understand that this is the only options that you have, you can sit here and say that I don't have the money, so I'm going to just I'm not going to do anything. And then what's going to happen in 2 years, your population is going to triple. And then you're going to see cats dead all over the road. You're going to see them all over the woods. You're going to be like, oh my God, what happened? You're going to call us, and this time it's going to take us a lot longer to fix your problem because it's twice as bad as it is now. So these are the only options that you have. And the more you understand the program, the more you'll realize that we just can't turn our back on it. Nobody's going to allow you to turn your back on it anymore. We're not going to continue to just euthanize animals for no reason at all, because we've killed in this country millions and millions of cats, and we spent millions and millions of taxpayer dollars doing so, and our population has risen. That's all that's happened. So we have to think outside the box and do something else. And I hate that sound. That's pretty rude, but okay. But I really appreciate you guys. I really do. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you guys. We all are, and we're going to work out a solution that'll save the city money, and it'll benefit all of us, okay? Because it does work. It works all over the county.
appreciate it.
Much
Thanks.
appreciated, Bonnie. Bonnie Saunders? Is it, I can't see, Bonnie Sauter?
Bonnie?
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing us to speak. My name is Bonnie Sauter. I live at 1103 Wild Holly Drive in Port Orange. I've been a resident of Port Orange for almost 18 years. I am a taxpayer and I am a registered voter. I am here. I do not bring any type of statistics. All I bring are facts that I have learned through the experience of being a trapper and being a caregiver of a colony. A female cat, like Pat said, can go into heat at 4 months of age. A female cat can have up to 3 litters a year, if not more, averaging about 4 kittens per litter. So you're talking 12 kittens a year for one cat. Now I've trapped 100 cats. 50 of those cats are female cats. You're talking 12 cats with 50 females. You're talking 600 cats in 1 year. I mean, you could find 50 females in one colony alone, okay? These cats suffer, okay? The males suffer because they can literally smell a female in heat a mile away, and they will go find that female. Well, when they get there, he's not the only male there. There's who could be 4 or 5. Any other male cat within a mile radius will be there to mate with that female. All those male cats, they're gonna fight. Not one of them cats are gonna walk away uninjured. They could even die from infection. They spread feline AIDS. They spread leukemia. The female, she suffers. The males, I don't know if you know this, but cats have a barbed tongue. Their penises are the same. So imagine what that female is going through when she's mating with the male cat. When he goes to disengage, those backward barbs stick out. Not alone that he's got his teeth in the back of her neck so she won't escape. Now she's pregnant. Now she has a litter of kittens. Imagine a kitten, newborn kitten, being born on the ground with ants, being eaten alive by ants. This happens every day. They die because maybe mama's too young to take care of these kittens. Humans are their worst enemy. There's so many cruel humans out there. It's awful. But I'm not going to stand up here and go on and on. TNR stops all of that. TNR stops the reproduction, stops the suffering, everything. The fighting, the spraying, all of those bad behaviors, TNR stops. I know this. I've experienced it. That's why I'm here today to tell you to please be humane and do the right thing. Thank you.
You did real good. You missed that annoying sound at the end. Brooke Light, please.
Thanks for the mating details of that information.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brooke Light. My address is 1031 Matterhorn Street, Deltona, Florida, 32725. And I won't keep you guys. I just want to, I have been working with cats in Volusia County since 2001. I was at Arnie when it first opened up down on Beach Street, or whatever that was back in the day. And I do TNR in Deltona. My good friend Heidi is here with me tonight. And we fix cats in Deltona because this is what we have to do. Whether the cat has been abandoned by people, is truly unsocialized, what's known as feral, whatever the cat's demeanor is, the cat's still going to have and make babies. And if any of you have cats at home, you probably know if you have 1 or 2 pet cats and your cats are fixed and everything in your home, and you bring home a 3rd cat, cat 1 and cat 2 are very, very put out, okay? Cats want 3 things out of life when they're not fixed. They want to mate, they want food, they want a sunbeam. When you take that cat, no matter how socialized it is to humans, and you have it sterilized, and it no longer wants a mate, it no longer needs to put up with other cats coming in its area. So I just want to point out that yes, TNR keeps the population down, but it also stabilizes colonies, because when you've got a dozen cats, even though they won't come to you and they won't let you pet them and they're not friendly, when you got 12 cats in somebody's area that are fixed and the 13th cat comes by and he's looking for a girlfriend or she's looking for a boyfriend, they're going to kick that cat to the curb, because this cat is now just going to impinge on their other 2 resources, sunbeams and food. So, in short, it's just one more way that the cat population stabilizes. I do want to point out also that we spay pregnant cats, and a lot of people get mad about this, but it's my personal soapbox, because it has to be done. And when we trap these feral cats, these females that are going to have babies born outside to be eaten alive by ants, this is the only humane thing we can do for them, to give them safety, to give them a good life, to keep them away from your pet cats perhaps, keep them from spreading disease. These male cats, they're crossing all kinds of crazy streets looking for their girlfriends, and that's when they end up splatted on the side of the road. So we have them fixed. They stay in their area because, again, where's my sunbeam? Where's my food? I'm not looking for a girlfriend. You're going to see a lot less splatted cats. And that'll probably help your waste bill, I imagine. So, just wanted to share that with everybody here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We got Karen Morgan.
I am Karen Morgan. I'm the Executive Director at Southeast Volusia Humane Society in New Smyrna Beach. I live at 1519 Rusty Circle here in Port Orange. I'm a taxpayer as well. I appreciate that you're extending us the offer to talk. I think, Mr. City Manager, the reason why we're upset, and it's a passionate time, is we offered that to you in the spring. We stood here and we didn't just stand here and say we demand this of the city. We said we'd like to be your partner, and we don't feel like you really took us as a partner then. So it became a very passionate, upsetting thing, because if it's just a number and you're going, oh, 20 grand, let's move that over to Parks and Recreation, which those parks won't look so well if they're overrun by the cats that have no positive outcomes for them. You have to balance it out to have a great city. And we really wanted to be your partner, and it became almost like a slap in the face. When I heard about this, I was shocked because, Mr. Mayor, I believed you that night that you were passionate about this, that you had heard us, that Mr. Ford had heard us, that you said that you were willing to educate councilmen, that you didn't understand all of the aspects of TNR. And so I took you for your word that that's what you were going to do, and it became a passionate issue for me. I stand here tonight because there's some that can't speak for themselves. Pumpkin and Midnight couldn't speak for themselves. I found them in a box. If they had been taken elsewhere and euthanized, a last wish would not have been granted. This is a woman in hospice here in our own area. Our own volunteers drove over. Her last wish was to pet a kitten. These kittens had been abandoned, and if they had been taken elsewhere, they would not have been able to grant that last wish. Pumpkin and Midnight can't stand here and speak for themselves tonight. You have a human problem, not a cat problem. They didn't choose to be born. They didn't choose to be abandoned when someone lost their home. They didn't choose to be abandoned when somebody walked out of an apartment and said, hey, I can't pay my rent. So it is emotional. You say you don't have any support and you want skin in the game. By a raise of hands, who in this room has volunteered in the city of Port Orange to help cats either by TNR, by fostering, by everything, by fostering, by adoption, by supporting? So you have skin in the game. We are here with the skin in the game. We want to help you. We have resources. UF has the top people in cats there. You have Cameron Moore, 1 Million Cat Challenge, and they want every live outcome they can get. You have Dr. Julie Levy. She's there. She's the top most guru on cats and live releases. Have you reached out to UF to see if they would help? We're here. We want to be your partners. Will you take us and be a partner and let's solve this? And you know what? Midnight and Pumpkin and all the little ones can be out there and they can be cared for, and we can stop the human problem. Thank you.
Kira Wild. Kira Wild.
My name's Cheryl Wild. I live at 493 Leslie Drive, Port Orange. I'm a taxpayer and a voter. When this all first came out, the fact that we didn't hear this from CCFAW, we were all broadsided. All your volunteers that go out and feed and trap and spend their spare time recouping the cats, driving to Redinger, that was a knife in the back. That for $20,000 for a city this size to upset so many people. And I also want to say, we're not special interests. We're about life. Those cats did not make these problems. Your residents made the problems when they left, when they move away, when they don't get their cats fixed, when they don't get their dogs fixed. They can't help it. We're trying to save lives. We're trying to make our city better. And I cannot tell you how disappointed your residents were that you did that. As far as ACO, at times seems a bit heartless. She believes that killing is the answer. Taking to Halifax, she's not thinking about $20,000 when she's taking them. She could call, there's many of us around. Call us. We will find out where that cat belongs. If it's not fixed, we will fix it. You can do return to field and use your volunteers instead of killing the cats. It'll save you a ton of money. None of us want anything to go to Halifax Humane Society. Halifax Humane Society is hell. That's about all I can say for that. So we will do whatever it takes to make sure they don't go there. And we pay for a lot of it ourselves. What we're asking of you is minuscule in comparison to what you get out of us. So don't count us out ever, because we will be here. Thank you.
Jennifer Ashley?
My name's Jennifer Ashley Pipes. I actually didn't prepare anything. I didn't expect to speak. I have come here and taken care of the
address.
108 Forest Lake Boulevard, Daytona Beach, Florida. I have come here to the library taking care of the black cat and Thomas. The black cat was told, I was told by the mayor to be removed. And an employee came, I guess, and took the cat and removed it. The cat escaped and pretty much passed, from what we know, passed away. I support TNR. I come and I pay my own money every day. I put flea prevention, and yet I feel I'm bullied, even if I take care of one cat. I cannot speak on everyone's behalf here and who I stand behind, but I know for me, I spend my time and my money and my efforts, and Bob Belt came and helped me. It is a passion, and all these people behind us speak and say we will give our time and our efforts. We're here in society. We're supposed to move forward, not backwards, and killing animals. I don't understand why we're here. So as a community, we're saying we will unite. To take them and say that we're going to kill them, it doesn't make sense. As a society, we want to move forward and have something in the book saying we were here not for killing. I'm not understanding any of this. So please reconsider. Thank you.
And just for the record, I've never ordered anything to do with the cat being removed. Heidi Herzberg. Hello, stranger.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Heidi Hertzberg, 556 Nardello Drive, Deltona, Florida. I come here as a person that's been involved with TNR up in Ormond, where I've worked for the last 25 years since about 2000. And Ormond was a pilot program up there, and they did an amazing job starting out, and they still do. And so I learned everything I needed to know there, and I proceeded to do it in Deltona. Then I became a commissioner and found out what I was doing in Deltona wasn't allowed. TNR was not allowed at that point. So my mission became to change that, because I found out the city of Deltona was spending, if you think your impoundment fees are high, between $150,000 and $175,000 a year to write a check to Halifax and Southeast Humane Society. In the year 2012, we impounded 2,424 animals. Of those, 1,962 were cats. Of all those animals that were impounded, 163 were returned to owner. And about 200 were adopted, the rest were euthanized. Since then, we have a combination of TNR and return to field. We have volunteers that do the work, and I understand from your standpoint it's a fiscal dollar amount, but what you have to look at in the state of Florida, you don't have the luxury of having cold weather kill off half your population down here. Cats continue to breed year-round. They don't in the north. And if you're going to use that as any type of a comparison, it doesn't wash down here. What you're looking at is a fiscal responsibility to the city and to your residents. And one way or the other, you're going to pay, whether you pay to fix the cats or pay to euthanize the cats. You're looking at $94 an impound for a 3-day stay, which every impound goes to, unless it's an owner surrender, and then you're paying $55. Anybody that takes a cat to the Humane Society, they're going to ask where they're from. If it's an owner surrender, they pay. If it's not an owner surrender and you surrender a mother cat and 5 kittens, and you're from Port Orange, you're getting billed $600. Every city has that. I mean, that's the way it is. That's the reality of it. Somebody has to pay. Halifax is an open admission shelter, and they need money. It's reality. They've reduced their impounds, and they've also reduced their kills. Pat has the numbers. I don't have them with me today. They're amazing what they've reduced. The city of Deltona has allocated $30,000, and then we had to add an additional $15,000 this year because that's what we've done in TNR with a group of volunteers. We have 14 animal control / code enforcement officers. 14. That's a lot. We're a city of 34,000 homes and 90,000 people. Do you know how many transient homes we have and how many animals we get left behind? I got a call today that a tip deer cat went to Halifax. It's sitting in an ACO truck right now, and Brooklight's going to go ahead and pick it up and return it to where it belongs tonight. And we just saved the city $95 or $94 by doing that. Because we're a volunteer program. All I can say is reach out to your volunteers, reach out to the people, and understand that the problem's not going to go away. You're going to pay on one end or on the other end. And I just feel like you need to engage your populace because these people are working for free for you guys if you embrace them. Thank you.
You must be good at this, Heidi, seeing as you got that in just under the buzzer.
We get 4 minutes. I'm kind of tight here with 3.
You spoke fast. Robin, did we have any more? Nope. Okay. With that, we'll move on to council comments, and we can discuss this or anything you like. Bob, why don't we start with you?
In, I think it was April 28th of 2017, council made a policy decision that it was going to stick with TNR. You were all here, I believe, during that meeting. To the best of my knowledge, council has not changed its mind or taken any decision. I do understand that, as we said then, and unhappily it didn't happen, but I hope it does happen now, that there were various problems with the program. Not that the underlying program was wrong, but how we executed it, whether it be the connection between volunteers and citizens, between volunteers and staff, whatever it was, we didn't know. And we had said, let's take a look at how we can do it better. And what I think is being proposed tonight by staff is that we're going to continue with a focus on TNR, but we're going to take a look, and that's what I'm asking for. We're going to continue to fund it until we can come up with a program that meets everyone's needs and that we all agree on. I want your participation. I've always believed in community-oriented, whether it be animal control, policing, or any other aspect of citizenry. The more people that get involved, the better the ideas, the better the outcomes. And I agree with, I believe someone made a comment earlier that struck home with me. We're too civilized a community to depend upon destruction as our only solution. I think TNR is a very viable. The other comment I want to make is maybe it's time for us, and I'm going to recommend tonight, that we also check with Volusia County Animal Control. As I understand it, they have an excellent program, and what's even more excellent about it is it financially is working. That the number the amount of costs has been going down over the last year or two as TNR's natural benefit kicks in. So I would suggest that one of the things we ought to do is take a look at their program and see what they do. And the other thing is we need to look seriously at how we can improve relationship with our volunteers to make it a seamless enterprise that's going to be win-win for all of us, and most of all, for our abandoned and lost pets.
Why don't we, I know that we also all have other comments, so why don't we all go through this topic first, and then Jake will discuss what we want to do moving forward or not. But I want to get all the council comments on the floor
on this subject, and then go
we'll
back
move
around.
on to any others.
Copy.
Chase?
Well, first of all, my compliments to the group for the work that you do. And also, you know, my compliments on how you've approached council with this. There's a lot of groups that come, you know, kicking and screaming and very insulting, and that's not really the way to get your message heard. You know, I don't think I had one negative email, at least not to me anyway. I don't know about you guys, but all very respectful, and I appreciate that, of course. And I really don't like cats because I'm allergic to them. They make me sneeze and they make my eyes itchy. But what I do like are passionate people. And we have a room obviously full of passionate people. And if you care about something, then I care about it. You know, I haven't changed my position from where it was before. I believe that we need a humane strategy to approach this. Common sense, we also obviously need to be fiscally responsible about it. I don't think anybody would argue with that. I wasn't aware that the Humane Society was thought of as poorly as they are. You know, so and if they are indeed just euthanizing them right from the get-go, and we're sending them there, that's just as bad as me putting the needle in myself, and that's not something I support. So I certainly want to be humane going forward. I also would like to, you know, we want to watch the books and see is there a quantifying measure of how the money is being spent, you know, measuring the success of that distribution for that. I have confidence in spite of some of the comments, I do have confidence in our manager and our assistant manager to work with you guys, and I've seen the willingness to work. I can assure you that this council will follow through to see that that solution is resolved. I don't believe, you know, if the numbers don't lie. I don't make decisions up here. At least I try not to. You know, my heart sometimes gets in the way, but I try not to make decisions based on emotion alone. And if the numbers are obviously what they are, well, it's a no-brainer. You know, I'm not going to pay more you know, while we're getting rid of a program. I'd rather, you know, pay less. But even if I have to pay more to be humane about something, I'll do it. So with that said, I do entertain the sit-down notion with the representatives of the group, as well as with our manager. I've seen Jake get creative and figure out a way to get things done, and I have confidence he will do that. If there is no solution, I don't think you're going to get pushback from this council to just be inhumane about it and send animals out to die. I don't think that's going to happen from this council. So that's all I have.
Drew, it's you.
Okay. Well, I'll share my story with you. A lot of times, you know, like the manager's tasked with making tough decisions, and he made a tough one here. But me personally, I'm an animal lover. I have 2 dogs at home and 2 cats. Well, they're actually grand cats, and I'll share that with you. Last year, my daughter's a student at UNF, and last year, a week before the hurricane, she comes home with a little tiny kitten that she found in the road in Jacksonville. The eyes were not open. When she took the cat to their vet thing, the cat weighed 5 ounces, and they did not expect the cat to survive. They said, you can do, you know, they told her everything she needed to do, and you can do this and bottle feed it and do all this, you know, every couple of hours. She had to help it go to the bathroom and the whole thing. Well, that cat today, little over a year later, is a 14-pound cat. So the cat survived. So we have a grand cat at home. So what does she do
Well, in your house, I see.
Yeah, so and we have 2 dogs and 2 cats, and they get along. I think the reason they get along, the kittens were tiny when they were introduced. So second cat story, this summer, there was a cat show, or a cat, acro cats or something, that came to Daytona. It's a touring thing, and we all went and volunteered. And so it was a wrong decision for my 18-year-old daughter, because she found a cat there that she fell in love with and had to have it, you know, playmate for the other cat, so we rescued that cat. So that's how I acquired 2 grand cats, because once she gets her own place, she's going to take them and do her thing with them. But we're fostering them and taking care of them now.
You hope.
Yeah. So, you know, I actually would probably have more, but we have 4 animals. It's a lot of work, cleaning up, taking care of them. They were fixed, you know, we had them fixed as soon as they were able to be operated on and have the surgery. So, you know, that's how we acquired 2 grand cats. And, you know, if more people did that, the problem might be less and less. And somebody spoke, I don't think it was Heidi, but Heidi, I do appreciate you coming over from Deltona and everybody that traveled to get here and share your thoughts with us. You know, I appreciate the time and the effort that you all are putting into this to help make the thing better. But the problem is the irresponsible pet owners. I won't just say cat owners. Dogs get dumped too. It's not as prevalent, and a lot more dogs get adopted than cats do. I get that, but it's a people problem because they just are irresponsible, and you know, if they get tired of it, they turn it loose or whatever. So we need more education, you know, TNR, and we just need people to be more responsible. If you don't want an animal, don't get one. Don't you know, don't go out there and get an animal and then realize this isn't for me and you can't take care of it because somebody then has to take care of that animal. So, and a lot of people do it, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
See, eat well in your house, so I have to make a mental note.
They eat well.
Scott?
I gotta follow the guy that's got 2 cats.
Grand cats. Grand cats.
Yeah, well, that's even better. So.
Well, you're the dog lover. You have 3 dogs, so that's a thing of beauty.
So just a couple of quick comments. I mean, I think quite a bit's been said there that I agree with. Some of the folks that I spoke with through the course of the weekend really had some interesting comments and some interesting perspectives that I think down the road are things to look into, and how the community can continue to help and improve the TNR program that we have and in addressing the issues that we have. It's interesting, there's a lot of folks that are really knowledgeable and have some great ideas. That being said, I think that this is something that the more help we can get from volunteers, the better off we're going to be, and we definitely need to be looking at how to best. Let me back up a second. Some of the most successful things we've done over the last 25 years in Port Orange, we've done with volunteers, and learning how we can best utilize them has worked out really, really well for us. And this is clearly one of those things where we have to look at that, explore that, and get better at using the volunteers that want to help resolve this, or not resolve, but make this issue better. Like one person said, they said with any TNR program, I don't know that you're ever going to see the elimination of cat colonies all over your city. But obviously, like some of the comments that were pointed out here tonight, you've only got so many options. Some of the other options are really expensive and may not necessarily yield the results either that you're looking for. One of the things that I would, Pat, and your group ask is to really help us try to look at long-term alternative funding solutions that can help, because like Heidi mentioned, it sounds like even with Deltona's program, this cost is not going to go down, it's going to go up, right? So there may be some years where that cost has to fluctuate, because like one of the callers mentioned to me is they keep seeing people from other communities dropping off cats in Port Orange. So, and I know that's happening. I have every confidence that's happening. So it's not just a Port Orange issue, and we can't control a lot of that stuff. But regardless of that, as programs are being sustained and growing in all the communities, you know, how their funding is, of course, going to be a huge challenge. And if we can work together to work that out, that's going to be a much better solution, I think, for the program and for the city. So,
since this was not an agended item tonight, we certainly heard from the public under public comments, and these are council comments, and I'm going to add some of my own. Some of the things I'm going to say aren't going to be real popular, and that's okay, because part of the problem that we have with TNR is not with the program, but rather with the execution. Certainly, I think there's some blame on the city's part. I also think there's some blame out there with our volunteer feeders, because I've seen it myself when people will go feed, but that's all they do. And then they go back and they're wondering why they're feeding more and more and more. And I know there's one particular colony that I've seen it happen in the last year or so, and that's a problem. And I think for some of those, they mean well, but it spins out of control on them. So, I mean, one of the things we need is help with people like that, so that they're educated. So they want to make a difference. I know they're doing it out of their heart, but they're not. You know, they're doing it purely out of their heart, not out of their mind. So here we are with 4 or 5 years in the TNR for something that 3 years you're supposed to turn the corner with, and we've got more than we had when we started. And I think that's part of the problem. TNR itself, I don't see as the problem. I see it as a solution if it's executed, and it's not been executed. So Jake and I have had a number of conversations already about generating alternatives to getting better execution. I'm concerned about feral and free-roaming cats. I want to be humane, but I also know that there are health concerns as well, because I hear from parents on playgrounds. I get that too. And we'll solve that problem with your help, because we can't solve it on our own. If we quadruple the number of animal control officers, we couldn't. If I hired 200 animal control officers, I might be able to make an impact. But with just a handful, no, there's simply no way. Some of the other things that we've talked about is alternate funding sources. We're talking about later as another agenda item tonight about hiring a full-time grants manager. This is probably one of the things they're going to be tasked with. When you lose funding from one source, what happens to fill that gap? That person's got to be proactive, and whoever it is we hire, potentially, if we approve that tonight, I think can help make an impact on a number of issues, including this one. But, and Scott, you referred to it too, problem two is that when we advertise our successes and say, yeah, celebrate this great TNR program, and people say, okay, great, well then that means Port Orange is where I get to go to dump my cats. That's not how it's supposed to work. You know, all our communities have to take a responsibility, not just us, in addressing the problem. And more than anything, it can be headed off with responsible pet owners from the get-go. And that's not just us up here and y'all out here, that's the majority of the city out there listening at home. You know, we need to press our friends and our neighbors to be more responsible with the animals that they have. With that, Jake, do you have any other comments? I know that you've got some things that you've got to work on and bring back to us, but
yes, sir. So one of the things that I'll tell the group assembled out in the audience tonight is that, back in April when we last Chief Proctor, I want to make sure. No, you're fine, but I want to make sure that Halifax Humane hears too, because I think this is important. Last time in April, we said that we'd make sure that we bridge that communication gap, and I readily admit we didn't bridge it. So I want you to know that the next time I say we'll chat, which it's Alan Rosen's working on this right now to get our schedules together, is you're going to be talking to Chief Grimaldi. You're going to be talking possibly to Assistant Chief Proctor. You're going to be talking to me, the Assistant City Manager, the ACOs, and anybody else on the staff, save the Fire Chief, that has a play in this from the staff. I think you'll bring the right people to the table too to communicate about this. Now I want the right players in there, and I rely on you to get the right people in there to do business, to move the city of Port Orange, Florida forward, which I believe you're going to do. And then we'll talk through some of these things that council talked about. The you know, how do we prevent, if we can at all, non-Port Orange people from dropping off cats that Port Orange is paying for, if in fact that's happening. I don't know, maybe we can't, but I want to know where our weaknesses are and how we can strengthen them, and then how we can better work together. So you got my undivided attention. I promise that this afternoon via email, and we will meet. Now it's going to be in my conference room, and my conference room holds about 8 or 9 people, so keep that in mind, above and beyond the 4 or 5 that I'm going to have there. But I'd like to have a fruitful meeting and come out with a reason, and I will bring some of those out of the box financing solutions to the table that we can move forward, and maybe even talk so much as to find ways to make it grow in the future if more money needs to be thrown at the problem to control the feral cat situation. And maybe one of the end results is a stronger ordinance to give our ACOs and our code enforcement people more teeth to find the people that aren't following the rules as we all know them. So those are the things I'm thinking about, and I look forward to getting together with you in the very, very near future so we can wrap this up. I think Alan Rosen has sent that out. Yes, Bob, I appreciate it. So thank you, Mayor.
We're going to take, before we continue with council comments, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. That'll allow everybody to get out okay.
Mayor, I'd like to compliment the signs tonight. I think the sign of the night, the perfect solution. Very nice. You got probably the prettiest signs of any event we've had here.
With that, we are in recess. Thank you.
Of course, I already went to the restroom.
Resumption of council comments. Better not go to Scott first. Chase, why don't we start with you? Any other comments?
No, other than the Veterans Day event this past weekend. First class job by Parks and Rec. As always, it's a to me it's my favorite event of the year. It's Veterans Day every day. It should be here in this country. The council, you were missed, but certainly people were aware of your prior engagements. So, Mayor, thank you for that opportunity to represent council at that particular event. That certainly meant a lot to me to have that public platform to recognize our veterans.
Right in your wheelhouse. Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's all I have tonight, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you for the birthday wish. Very kind.
Bob, what else you got?
Nothing more.
Drew?
Just going back to the Riverwalk grand opening in Port Orange 150 and the grand opening of our park. Just got to thank each and every employee and whoever made that possible. Because I saw every department represented there. There were policemen there I was talking to. The fire department was there showing the truck and doing different things. And got there, spent the entire time there, and until the fireworks display was over. And there were still people hanging around. I think the only complaint was that some of the food trucks ran out of food because they were so busy. That's the only thing I heard negative. Somebody's like, "Oh, I went up to the food truck and they were out of food by the time I had a chance to get there." So it was an awesome night and an awesome grand opening. I just want to thank everybody for making it happen. So appreciate it.
It ran out of food because you didn't have a chance to get there.
I never even got there.
The
lines were too long.
To believe that?
I did not get. I did not have anything there. I had to stop on the way home and get something.
I tell you what, it was a terrific event.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to end.
It was awesome.
Didn't want it to end because it represented so much work on so many people over the last 2 decades. And I've got to echo your comments. It was a terrific job, Jake, by everybody. I know we talked about it already. But one thing I've observed, and a number of people have also, is that park has been used every day. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the weather's been like. There have been a number of people there. It's been used every day, and that's what we want to see.
And I did have one other comment. The fireworks were a big hit. I talked to somebody that was on the beach side that enjoyed the fireworks from their balcony of their condo in the shores. They could clearly see the fireworks and heard, and they loved it. So
we'll get them to help pay for it next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mayor, on that topic, and I don't want to go off on a big thing, but do we have? Are we having discussion in place on what to do to solve the parking issue over there? Do we have any workshops on the
solve it? What are you talking about?
We just opened it.
They're going to park at your house, Chase, and we're going to shuttle them over.
Excellent.
That's
excellent.
right. All right. Just as a note for some people that there is parking on hand, quite a bit of parking on hand, but there are 2 city facilities and parking lots nearby. If you go down Herbert Street all the way to the end, the Annex building has parking, and you've got parking at Halifax and Dunlaw right there. That's a city lot also.
Causeway Park.
Good job.
Causeway Park. So there's a lot of, if people say, well, I've got to walk from there. Well, that's the whole idea. You were going to get you to the park. You're going to do a lot of walking. There's some trails. There's 10 acres of outside. So. But there is, those are some of the things that are going to improve as that area continues to develop.
And any one of the rideshare companies that are available in this area will be happy to drop you off and pick you up from there. I didn't mention any names. I just said any of the rideshare companies that are available.
Scott?
Yeah, I'll to Chase's comment there, my vision, Chase, is that like a lot of the community event locations you see around the county, down at the Casements in Ormond, Canal Street, parking kind of has a life of its own in a lot of those things, and I think you supply a reasonable amount to accommodate some stuff, but the reality of it is that based on weather and the event and things like that, parking will kind of evolve and the business community kind of gets involved and helps with that type of thing. And the last thing I want to do is go buy large properties of land, take them off the tax roll down there to have parking lots that sit empty, a large percentage of the time. But I agree. I think all of the staff that was involved and organizations involved It was a great opening event. I know there's some other events that are already being booked up down there that the organizations are working on. I look forward to seeing those. I think Jake's right. You know, this is just a start. We're going to have to work through things, and I think what we will see is that there will be events that will need to be maintained or booked here at this campus because of the size. And as we move forward, it'll get better and better and better. I think it'll be great. Wanted to just comment again. I know council had directed me to reach out to Councilwoman Billy Wheeler and have a meeting with her. I have been able to do that successfully and have that scheduled next week. So I need a little time to get that done. But on that note, I hope that everyone else has had the opportunity to schedule a meet with the fire chief to get that one-on-one. We had another incident today, 95-year-old resident in need of medical transport, no ambulances available. I want to say thank you to the city of New Smyrna for having their +1 and willing to send it to make that transport today, which they did. So I will also let you know that I had a councilman from Deltona, I believe, reach out and share some comments that they too have very similar concerns in their community as well. So, and I think they started a new +1. They're only about 6 months into it, so I think how it's going is a little early to tell. But even with their +1, they're still seeing a lot of issues over there. So, anyway, we're working on that. I'll let you know how the meeting goes, and then we need to just decide where we want to go from there.
Okay, appreciate that. Just ever so happy, like I said, like you're mentioning, not just the Riverwalk Park, but the whole energy on the east side and what is now known as the River District. River District is getting some energy, and looking forward to what we can do over the next few years to reinvigorate and reinvent that down there.
Mayor, just you know, kind of talking, I joked to Councilman Tremont about the traffic or about the parking, but recall that there's going to be some public parking in that private venture,
right?
If and when that develops, and
Absolutely.
one of the I went to Atlanta for fun, but I did throw a evening of business in there and talk to a retail developer that had shared some interest in Port Orange earlier, but his deal didn't really work out. But I went up there and talked to him and asked him about the corner piece there. Should we be able to lock in a decent stack of property over there, and he said there are some pretty innovative ways to add additional parking with retail and bed and breakfast or condo or something low rise, very nice. Add parking. It's not low parking, but it might be something that works until we have a flood. And but when we're flooding, I'm hoping not a lot of people are going to events up on that area. But so there is promise there to get additional parking. Will we be able to, you know, put 3,000 people, 3,000 cars there and host a big party? No, but there are things moving forward there that I think we'll be able to get to. So keep that in mind, and I'll share that if you didn't get that whole liqueur vision, I can share that with you again. I think you did though, right? Yeah.
One last comment before we move on.
Yes, sir.
Hold it up.
I just got frosting on me.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jake.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day with that tomorrow.
I will.
Board appointments, interviews, and reports. Environmental Advisory Board, Mr. Newton White.
Newton White, Environmental Advisory Board, Vice Chair. Just wanted to stick to what happened at the meeting and keep my opinions out of it tonight. Our only agenda item at the last meeting, a business item, was to review the revision to the tree ordinance that you'll be seeing soon. And what we saw looked good to us. We liked it. addresses what's called hat racking, basically knocking all the living limbs off of a tree, and I say it's a 30-foot tall stump. And that all looked good and fine. However, additional discussion and input from the board was kind of moot because we did not have a representative from community development or the city attorney's office to aid us in our discussion of what could or could not be in the ordinance, what would or wouldn't work, or how to advise on it. So that's as far as we were able to go with that. We also discussed that maybe we could meet more often and do more things to help, like with the historic tree permits and tree removal permits and things of that nature. And we have some new talent on the board that is interested in helping address issues with air and water quality, and that would help if we met more often. We only meet quarterly now, so if you miss one meeting, it's 6 months between meetings for you. And it's kind of hard to get anything done when you only meet once every 3 months. That was pretty much everything that was in the meeting that was pertinent to the meeting. We had a nice long discussion on a lot of things.
Good. If you meet more often, once every 2 months?
That would be the
Monthly
next.
might be too much. But
That would be the next step, is probably 2 months, and then, in my opinion, we didn't take a vote or pass a resolution,
Okay.
but that would be the next step. Move it to 2 months and see how
I'll
that.
let you guys hash that out, but I also got to keep in mind I've got to have a staff person there, so we got to pay
Yeah,
for it too.
yeah. I was just talking with
It's got to be worth everybody's while.
I was just talking with Mr. Berman about that, and he's already said that he would make sure that we do not have a meeting without a representative there in the future.
Because Tim has absolutely nothing else on his plate right now.
No, nothing. He said he's absolutely has nothing to do next year at all. Now, far to the contrary, there's some other there's some things that are coming down with I think sign regulation and telecommunications. If you remember that, the ugly-looking boxes that they want to put on every other telephone pole. Hopefully, we can get something ironed out on that so that we don't visually pollute the environment.
Comments, questions for Mr. White?
Good job.
Thank you.
You got off easy, Newton.
Ah, thank you.
He's got a broken arm. He didn't get off easy.
It was a heck of a meeting.
And good night.
Mayor, so staff does regret that we didn't have anybody available. We were kind of too blocked there. I think Margaret Tomlinson was out of town, and she was probably the specialist there, and I think Matt was busy as well that night. Also keep in mind as we move forward, I think Newton already, I think Robin may have already talked to you about it, but special meetings are authorized as well for them. If something special comes up, just give us enough heads up. We'll try to make that happen and fit it into the schedule so staff can attend and give you the necessary professional opinion from the staff that we can. So we'll continue to work with them, but we regret that we were unable at the last meeting. Apologize.
Thank you. Item 12, Resolution 17-61, Budget Appropriation for Fiscal Year 17 Budget Execution Review, Final Year-End Tune-Up. Resolution number 17-61 is a resolution of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, appropriating operating and capital funds for various city operations, setting forth revenues and expenditures, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve resolution number 17-61.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Who's speaking to this, Jay?
So last time I ran out to get Tracy, you all took care of everything and
Well, let's
slapped
vote
the
on it.
gavel. So I'll go do it again. Alan just went to get her.
Do we have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
questions.
Any? Do you guys have any questions?
No
Okay.
comments. No.
I mean, it seemed pretty straightforward for me, but
Yeah. Yep.
okay.
All
With
right.
that in mind, would anybody else like to speak to this? Call the roll.
Councilman Tremont.
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ford.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Resolution number 17-62, which is a budget appropriation for fiscal year 18 carryover of open encumbrances on project budgets. Resolution number 17-62 is a resolution of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, appropriating funds for project carryover and open encumbrance carryover funds from fiscal year 2017 to fiscal year 2018 budget, setting forth revenues and expenditures, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve resolution number 17-62.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Council, questions on this one? This is the one that, if we get questions, we usually do on encumbrances and carryovers, but
No,
those are current projects.
Jake was clear, had a good talk.
Okay. Tracy's off the hook on that one too. Anybody else like to speak to this? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Tremont.
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ford.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Resolution 1763, budget appropriation for fiscal year 18 additional carryover. A resolution of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, appropriating additional project carryover funds from fiscal year 2017 to fiscal year 2018 budget, setting forth revenues and expenditures, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve resolution number 17-63.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Council, are there questions on this?
I don't have any.
There being none, anybody else like to speak to this? Call the roll.
Councilman Tremont.
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ford.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Item 15, recommendation is to reject all grant management bids and approve a grant manager position. May I have a motion in the affirmative?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Who's speaking of this?
Assistant City Manager Rosen.
Honorable Mayor, Council, Madam Attorney, Mr. Manager. We had a contract with somebody to help us with the grants. They recently indicated that they are going to end through the contract that contract with us, and we were going to go out for a bid anyway, whether they were going to get it or somebody else was going to get it. We have a general fund budget right now of about $67,800, I believe it is, for that grants manager position in-house, out-house, whatever we decide to do. The bids came back at, I believe, without looking at it, 120, 125,000, and 87, 84,000 respectively. And instead of trying to come back to council to see if we could get more money, we decided how could we do this more creatively, and also how could we get more done with less. So we took a look at what the position level would be if we did just a grants manager, because previously we had a grants manager / PIO. If it was just a grants manager, where would that slot in? How much would that be? Staff believes that we may be able to hire somebody in a range that will actually be slightly less than what we're paying now for our current contract, and significantly less than what the bids came in at, and significantly less over a 5-year period, even with even if you project salary increases over the next couple of years. Savings in the hundreds of thousands if you look at the higher cost. In addition to that, having one person just dedicated towards grants for the City of Port Orange, we feel that we can get much more individual attention, obviously, from that person just doing grants 100% of the time, working only for us. Hopefully that will result in more grants, more diverse set of grants, if you will, not just the regular ones that we usually get, but hopefully something above and beyond that. In addition to helping departments service those grants as well, because as you know, once we get grants, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time just to make sure that those things are done right, and the granting agencies are happy with us, including, for example, CDBG and those sort of things that do take an enormous amount of time to make sure that we manage correctly.
CDBG is the one that came to mind as one that needs to be managed, and it does take some energy to do it right, where we've had issues in the past, and I don't want to repeat those. One thing that I have problem with when we outsource, it's a reactive, this is what we need, and we're asking somebody to go get money for these type things. If we approve and bring this in-house, the things I'm looking for is this person's got to be very proactive. They've got to be meeting with all our different department heads so they have a sense of what they're looking for, and whether it's in fire, because originally in fire, Sharp's program was started because we got a grant to do it. Now granted, it's a program that's a lot more readily available that and other means and sources than it was when we first started it.
Yeah.
But we took that in-house when that grant expired. So that person needs to be meeting with department heads, not just what their needs are, but also in making sure that grants stay in place so that we're not shifting funding back onto the taxpayers. We bring in a new program based on a grant, and all of a sudden you're going out with taxpayer dollars, or we're ending a program, and somebody's either going to get hurt or upset by that. The person has to be very proactive. They have to have some bright ideas on funding sources. And if they're not in tune with the needs of all our department heads and looking for opportunities to take care of those things, then to me it wouldn't be the right person. So it's got to be somebody that has some energy and some zeal to be able to do those things.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think when looking back in the history, one of the things I found was that the department directors weren't involved in the grant process at all before, which I found troubling on my end because, one, how do you know what they need? I don't want us to go, and I know the city managers expressed this as well, we don't want to go to grants just to get money from somewhere and create a program we don't really need. We need to look at what our needs are and figure out where we can get that money. In addition to that, when the department directors aren't involved, they don't understand also the needs to keep up that grant, the reporting requirements, the information that we need to do. So they need to be involved as well to say, hey, I can get you this money. This is what it's going to cause you on the back end. Can we manage it? So it's not just about the money, but it's also making sure that we as an organization can keep up. So that's
something. A lot of creative things that we could do that we don't, that would actually save us costs in the long run. Do we have somebody who is going to get grants to help us go to solar lighting in our parks? We become more eco-friendly and save costs in the long run. Things like that.
Yeah.
Comments and questions for Mr. Rosen. Chase?
Yeah, I always look very heavily whenever we're going to add a new position, but to me, you're paying money to get more money. And I'm certainly going to expect a lot of results. When I talk to congressmen or state reps, there's all sorts of money that the federal and state government are trying to give away. So having somebody that's full-time and he's fully, or he or she is fully invested in that, and appreciate the mayor's comments on being very proactive. That's, to me, the numbers speak for themselves. And that money, that position is already funded, correct?
That money is already in the budget. That is correct.
Already funded.
It's part of the recommendation here is to create that position. I don't have a seat on the bus. Money's already there. I just need the shell to put it in.
Yeah. Yeah, and
there are times when outsourcing makes sense, and there are times when you lose control when you outsource.
Well, remember that when we had Mr. Donahue here, he did the PIO and grants, and when I first got here, I wanted to split that because he was working 24 hours in each job and not doing either the way I wanted it done. So when he departed, we tried the grants manager outsource internal PIO with the staff we had, and that kind of didn't work out as I had wanted either. So then we asked for the PIO, and here's the second piece of it. So we're basically breaking up Mr. Donahue's job into two separate jobs after a little experimentation and not epic failure, but failure.
Do we have a figure as to what the outsourcing company has brought in?
I know some of the things they've helped us with. I can give you some examples. They've helped us a lot with the CDBG, which we get as a result. No matter what we do, we get it as a result of our population.
I don't need that number now. I just, going forward, when it comes to looking to see what the progress is, I'd like to have something to measure up. Say, hey, this is why we got this guy.
You're giving him an excuse to create a PowerPoint.
Well, so keep something in mind too, that there are certain things that we held our grants manager back on a few things,
right?
Because there are certain companies that will go out and get all the grants for you, and they'll charge you based on the grants they get. Obviously, council needs to say, yes, we're willing to take that, but a lot of it, and a lot of federal money, comes with a tail, comes with a 50% match, comes with a, we have land that we can't use for anything we want because we're obligated, because we got grant money to buy it, that we can't do things with it. We bought land with grant money we can't get to hardly. So we need to be careful, and so I don't want to I don't want to compare apples to oranges because we held somebody back and you go, oh, this internal guy's working out great comparatively. Well, we may have held our external person back. So
Fair enough.
we'll try to make that comparison for you without muddy in the waters.
Yeah.
And Councilman, also to your point, I want to set some expectations too. I did some best practice analysis research when it came to CDBG management. And I looked at about 10 cities in the state of Florida that are about our same population, that receive about the same amount of money we do every year. And I asked all of them, how do you guys manage that program? Because it is a beast. And I would say on average, they have about 1.5 FTEs managing just CDBG.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a little bit of a caveat there in that a lot of them do housing programs, which is a lot bigger tail than just putting money towards roads and things like that. So we kind of minimize our back end there, but it's still a lot of work to make sure. And I've been, unfortunately, significantly involved with that, and I'd like to have time back to do other things. But there's a lot of work to do with that, and I'm hoping that person also will become an expert in that area and be able to really just clean it up and have us start smooth sailing later on.
Yeah, that's all I got. I'm good.
Bob, questions?
Yeah, I think Chase is, bringing up a very important thing. We're going to have to produce expectations for that position. That's a difficult position. I don't expect much of it in the first year because, first of all, the learning curve that's needed to identify, then the boilerplate that you need to develop to fill each grant, population size, all the various, I don't know if anyone's kept all those things in a file that you can reach into. So it's going to be rough for the first year or so for that person to begin to understand what Port Orange needs and what boilerplate we need to put in for our city and the like. So we should have an idea what we expect from them, but I would urge us not to expect too much the first year. The second year is usually when they hit full speed.
Now we'll wait a whole year.
I don't have anything to add. I mean, I pretty much agree with everything that's been said. That, in this instance, it didn't make sense to outsource it. We can do it. And like I said, hopefully after the learning curve, it'll be successful. And if it's not, then we're going to come to you and
back to square one.
You can create a PowerPoint and tell us why it wasn't successful.
Scott?
I think we're in a very unique time right now. Maybe it's not unique, maybe it's cyclical, I don't know. But one of the things that we're seeing a lot with private contract work is there's so much work out there that it no longer becomes of cost savings for us to contract out. This is a great example. The next item's another great example. I mean, there is a ton of work, and we're putting out these bids, and you're getting 2 responses, and none of them are even close to where the budget is. Which, if we looked 5 years ago, you'd have got 10 responses, and everybody would be trying to beat the budget number. So, we're in a period of time where,
free market economy.
There you go. Right? There's a ton of work out there. Private contractors are making a lot of money. They can pick and choose a lot, and this is one of those instances. And by the way, we probably have many like this that I think we're going to see in the coming years. As long as the economy stays good, and hopefully it does, we're going to see where maybe having that position in-house will be much more beneficial to us, as well as save us the money. And this is a perfect example of that. All the comments that have already been made, I obviously concur with. We want to get the biggest bang for the buck for our taxpayers, but having more of a proactive option versus 100% reactive is something that I look forward to. And I think the mayor made some good comments there about what we could be looking for, when opportunities present themselves. And I don't think you're going to get that as well with a private contracted company who knows that really the standard is more so to be just reactive and handle what's given to them. So, makes sense.
Mayor, if I can add one thing, what I don't want to see is a heavy focus on on applying for grant money for new programs, because I don't want us to see it be stuck in the position of having to put that on the backs of the general fund should that grant money not be available anymore.
I think our budget-conscious city manager will ensure that.
Yeah, I imagine they would. I just wanted to state it.
Yeah, the current policy of the city of Port Orange is whenever, and I just put one on the agenda for the second meeting in December, whenever we accept a grant, it has to come before council. So you see them all anyway, and are that final check for us. There was a tweak to the policy that I wanted to make it a little bit more efficient. I think it's a city policy, it's not an ordinance, that would streamline a little bit, but still anything that would impact, if we were going for a grant for personnel, which is again ongoing, or a grant that would affect ongoing programs, that would still come before council, because I think those are highly critical things that we need to make sure that we're making that right decision on, and I want your eyes on it, because if it's for a one-time program and we're doing it already anyway, it saves the taxpayers, no-brainer.
Yeah, I hope whoever comes in has very extensive experience, at least going after storm water and drainage grants.
Anybody else like to speak to this? Sure. Come on.
Cool little photo there. Mark Dickinson, 667 Herbert Street. That's my little 3-year-old playing at the park there. But thanks, it was awesome. I'm sorry I missed it. The question I have for you, what's the salary for a grant writer? Does anybody know? I know he had said the money's there, but what is the salary, or what is it going to be? That's what I should say.
The current approved budget, $67,800.
Yeah,
That's not just salary, that's salary, benefits, and all costs.
Okay, so somewhere around 45 or something like that in the
Probably
benefits.
about
I've written grants myself, and they're not fun. And maybe Councilman Stiltner,
I concur.
Yep, we've done it at the police departments there, and I have a feeling if you're not paying them well, they're not going to do well, because it's a hard thing to do, and especially pressuring them on there with so much. But one of the grants I'd love to see with that is, maybe off topic but not, but is the radar boards for the police department. They will be helpful. They'll catch criminals, they'll catch people that are doing things nefarious at night. But that was it. Just be wary about that first year, because it's going to be hard on someone that may jump in there. And don't beat them up too much, because we've been there. I've written them for the cameras, the cars, I think even the computer systems on the police motorcycle when I was riding it. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
Great point. Thank you. Anybody else? If not, call the roll.
Councilman Tremont.
Which is this one for?
The grants position.
As presented, so rejection of all bids.
We're moving to reject.
And creation of a new position. Both.
I wanted to make clear. Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ford.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes. Item 16 is award of contract for repair of Causeway docks. Recommended motion is to approve, subject to the city attorney review and approval contract documents and council budgetary approval coming up on December 12th, to award Brothers Construction in the amount of $1,045,250 and allowance of $104,525 for a total of $1,149,775 for this project. May I have a motion for approval?
So second.
I'm going to give it,
Take your pick.
okay, all right, we're going to give it to Scott.
I'll do the second.
Chase, sit down, you're the rookie. We got to give the second to Drew
Sure, I
here.
beat him on his second birthday.
He beat you on the motion, he beat you on the
We
second.
need a Family Feud buzzer.
Who's presenting?
Susan.
Susan, I didn't even see you over there.
That was the point.
Man.
I don't know my feet, you know, I have short legs, it's hard to hold this thing. Susan Ball, Parks and Recreation Director. Pretty much, Councilman Stiltner referred to that we did open the bids. We received 2 bidders. Brothers Construction was the lowest bid, and that this work will take care of repairing the West Pier, which is the one closest to the restrooms under the bridge. It will repair the T Pier, and it will demo the East Pier, which is on the other side of the intercoastal by our deck down under. This will not solve the north boat ramp issue, and it does not solve the ADA boat ramp issue on the south side. So as you know, we temporarily fixed the floaters, but that big piece is still sitting out of the water. Those have to be jetted in. Once we get a contractor on board, we will try and get some cost estimates from him, since he's already going to be there with his barges, to see what he comes in at, and if we have to bring a change order forward, we will. So that's kind of where we are.
So we've been warned on the change order. Scott?
First off, thanks for getting the the ramps temporarily up and running and making some adjustments so that we can do that. Very much needed. Again, $1 million project. We only get 2 bids, none of which are from Volusia County or Central Florida. So your 2 bidders are from Port St. Lucie and Jacksonville. It just amazes me for $1 million contract.
There's a lot of work out there.
Yeah. A little bit more than I would have anticipated, the overall cost of that project, but I get it. It's a little bit of a specialty thing, so I guess we got to keep that in mind. But it just is a little surprising that you just don't see the local contractors bidding to do some of this work.
Crazy. I think the hurricane has added to their workloads sufficiently as well.
Yeah, certainly, no question. I mean, but you know that these are all East Coast companies, but
yeah, we'd love to have the locals.
They definitely need to get repaired. The sooner the better. They're not only look unsightly, they're not usable, and to have some of that debris sit out there the way it is obviously a hazard, and the sooner the better we can get this ball rolling, get that done, and hopefully, well, do we have a timeline? I may have overlooked that, but if we award this thing, I mean...
Well, if you award tonight, and then the funding will come on the 12th, as indicated. So probably by the time we can get all the paperwork done, they start getting everything. It'll probably be after the holidays, if I had to guess, before they really got started on it.
Do we think this is something that before early spring they can have completed, or?
It's a 6 to 9 month project to get it all done.
To get it all done.
Yeah,
Sure.
to get it all done. So we're gonna focus on that. You know, trying to get the West Pier open as
Certainly.
quickly as possible and try and get them in there. We're also unfortunately going into the winter. Okay, so winter is extremely high tides, northeastern winds blowing the water up. We're going to run into delays. So I don't want to sit here and tell you it's going to be done. We're going to push them as hard as we can to get the project done in a timely manner and get it back open to our residents as soon as possible.
Before it's completely done, will it still be operational, portions of it?
So the boat ramps are open on the south end. They opened, I guess, last weekend. And the restrooms are open. And there's fishing is still available around the pond where you guys can walk, not on the piers. So we do have it opened. We just don't have them, can't get up onto the fishing piers. So.
Scott, you got anything else?
No.
Chase, you got anything else?
Good, thank you.
Bob?
I'm waiting because they stop by my house on a regular day. When can I go fishing there again? So.
Yeah, we get calls daily.
Delighted.
Susan, how's the construction go? Are they going to be rebuilt to exactly what they were, or is there a way to like harden them and make them more durable to high tide or bad weather?
Yes, yes, and yes. So
Okay.
the problem is that the funding's coming in from a lot of different avenues, and FEMA reimbursement is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
We are going to be building them back to the same design as they were before as far as wooden structures for the fishing piers. Now, where we'd want to make some changes is with the boat ramps. We want to put the floaters in. Cement floaters is preferable. The ones we currently have on the south side are plastic floaters that fit underneath, and boats hit them real hard and they pop out, and our guys go and fish them out of the Seabird Island area, and then they bring it back and we get it back underneath there. That happens often, and the concrete floaters would be what we prefer. We are so far behind the 8 ball right now with finances to try and get this done back to where it was that I don't think it's a good idea to take that bite of the apple right now. But we will manage that as it starts coming through. The north boat ramp may be our first opportunity to do that. It's in design now with DMC. We did receive grant money from FIND to redo that. That's where we're going to ask for mitigated money to repair that from Matthew. So it's a process. Our focus right now is on the piers. We're going to try and get those back open. They're going to be built back, which was a wooden structure. The only thing you might see change is we are going to try and match it to Riverwalk. So it would have the wire in it and the plastic tops, similar to Riverwalk's boardwalk. So kind of match
where
it.
the hands will contact.
Correct,
on the top
and the
with
lighting's going to match what we have at Riverwalk. Okay. So that's really the only change you're going to see. It's just a change in material, but the design is going to stay the same.
The design will be the same, but is it a little bit stronger? Like, are they going to be more durable, or is it? I mean, if we have another bad storm, they could face more damage, of course.
Well, a lot of the pilings are going to be replaced.
Okay.
So you have to remember that's been there for 25 years.
That's okay.
A lot of the pilings have worms in them. They need to be replaced. That's part of what we found
Okay.
out through the discovery. you know, our piers that were just redone at Riverwalk sustained no damage during the storms. So, and those stood there for 25 years through all of our storms. So I have to assume that they're probably going to be good. Something really, really big or a boat runs into it.
Well, yeah.
Probably not going to be there anymore.
Okay. All right.
So I mean, we're gonna do the best we can with it, but I think they're going to be built to the best standards that we have.
Perfect.
And that is one of the big factors that tear those docks up is prior to those storms, people who can't or refuse to pull their vessels, they leave them out there and they break free and they float down the river and they hit every dock all the way. I mean, they just spin and bounce off dock after dock after dock.
Yeah.
And you can see some of them are still washed up on the shoreline, I think. So I don't know how you build against
Any other
that.
comments or questions? Ingrid, come on. Susan, don't go all the way back to your seat. Wait. That way you don't have to come all the way out again.
Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive, Port Orange. I just wanted to say that I bicycle past the piers there all the time, and on a couple of occasions I've seen people out on that T-pier, and you know, they tear down the little yellow thing, and I think you need to look at doing something better to make sure they don't go out there, because I think it's a real liability for the city.
Thank you, appreciate that. Anybody else? Stay put. I'm not done with you. Call the roll.
Councilman Tremont.
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ford.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Now, if you would kindly come back up here one more time. This is the first
Not my birthday.
No.
Would you like
your birthday?
Would you like a piece of
You
cake?
can have some of Jake's cake.
We got Jake's cake anyway. This is the first opportunity that we've had as a council to publicly thank you and your department, not only for a fantastic park, but a fantastic Port Orange 150 celebration.
Well
We're
done.
really proud of you and your staff, and I couldn't be more grateful.
I appreciate
awesome.
that, but it's not my department. Everybody helped. Community development was the project manager. Police, fire were there to help support us. My parks crew, public works, public utilities helped do the water line. I mean, it was a team effort, and it was good to be a part of a project where city departments work so well together. So I will thank you on behalf of everybody, but it definitely wasn't just me. So thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
You can go back to your corner.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alan Rosen just escaped with Jake's cake, but he doesn't know that I left the cover to it in the break room, so if he can hear me, that's where it's at.
Yeah, well, it looked like it was melting a little. I didn't know what it was made of, so.
City attorney comments?
No comments this evening.
City manager comments?
Yes, Mayor. We got an email that we agreed to address Tuesday, or at this meeting, so I'll bring it up. There was a person who indicated that we should consider extending Hurricane Irma waiving of building permit fees. If you recall from Matthew, around the third month is when people started getting their insurance claims back, and we agreed to extend for Matthew. And staff and I had a discussion, and staff, right, Tim, your staff, that we thought that the council ought to entertain extending that waiver through December 30th, and then snapping the chalk line then for a January 1st start to reinforce the building permit fees. And that is the same as last year, and as is currently. These are for Hurricane Irma related damages only.
You're talking about extending it till what date now?
December 30th.
And of course, if we have any other issues, we could always extend it again, but I don't think that's
That'll-
what, another 45 days or so
Actually,
from now?
it's a little bit longer than we did for Matthew, I believe.
Okay.
But it's just a clean date.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Anybody want to speak to this? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
And, yep, thank you. Mayor, one other thing, again, the library board, although they're not here tonight, has come back and indicated their willingness to disband based on no effort. They haven't met since March. They don't meet again since January. That's a 10-month gap between meetings. And the meetings are good. They enjoy them, but they're unproductive from a city business standpoint. The Friends of Volusia County Library are very active, and Stan thinks they meet the needs of the city at this point, and they support disbanding that library board. I bring that to your attention. Although Stan's not here, I would like him to come up and chat with us before we disband it. But I would like consensus so we can move ahead and make some
resolution to the effect.
Make some arrangements so you can talk to it and have Stan here to verify that I'm not misspeaking.
No, I absolutely. We've all discussed this at some point in time, so I wouldn't mind. Let's do that as an agenda item.
Got it.
Council, you're in agreement?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay. Committee reports. Art House.
Art House, we have another extended display of a student show. This is it's going to be from November 16th to January 12th with an open reception on Thursday, November 16th from 5 to 7 p.m. I urge you all to attend. This is a show which shows the best of student art, and I think you'll be very impressed. Their art is phenomenal. Again, on November 16th, Thursday, from 5 to 7 at Art House down on Ridgewood. It is going to be a lovely show. The last couple I've gone to have been truly impressive. You begin to understand just how talented our students are and what Art House does for our community. I urge you to attend.
Port Orange South Daytona Chamber, they have a business after hours also on Thursday from 5 to 7, a professional title. So you can hit both these events quite right in a row. Roundtable of elected officials did not meet this month, and we do not meet again in January, until January. At that time, I am going to, as we discussed last week, address my comments to the entire group about where we are and our concerns for transport. But since they don't meet again until January, that'll allow us to form a little bit more of a cognitive opinion, and I will take whatever direction you guys come up with and present it to them at that time. With that, that ends almost all of our business that we have on the agenda. However, before this meeting tonight, we did have a workshop, and the representatives from a 9-week course at Port Orange University were at that workshop and awarded certificates, and there are a few of them still in attendance. Would y'all come up here for just a second? Y'all think you're off.
They're never going to stay again.
Let's see if they introduce themselves correctly with their new titles.
Just do me a favor. Do me a favor. Introduce yourselves into the microphone. Tell us who you are. Each of you take a turn.
Ira Serlich, Port Orange University graduate. How's that?
Best ever.
Best ever, man.
Next, the best class ever.
Susan Maynor, Port Orange University graduate.
Jerry Harris, Port Orange University graduate. What a great time it was.
2017.
Mary Serlich, Port Orange resident and Port Orange University graduate. Thank you very much for letting us have that opportunity to learn about Port Orange.
We appreciate y'all's passion, and I appreciate because y'all stayed to the very end of this evening. All your classmates missed this recognition, but you're getting it. So this was a terrific opportunity. I think Christine Martindale, who's out of the room at the moment.
She's right here.
Oh, no, she's hiding. She gets to come up too.
She's right next to Susan.
Come on up. Come on, hurry, hurry. Climb over the seats. Come on. Christine Martindale is our PIO. Introduce yourself and give us the 30-second version of what you did to these people.
She's a gem.
Christine Martindale, Public Information Officer, and the organizer for the first graduating class of Port Orange University. people standing behind me were just a joy to be with, as well as the other 26 people. Brought them through a whole week by week, learning department by department by department, and they got a tour of so many different facilities and asked tons of questions, which we love. And they were so appreciative and thankful, and they asked the right questions, and you never know, they could be a future council member someday. You never know.
Good.
But they're a joy to be with. And
Somebody's got to replace Drew.
It's a little harsh.
I'm really going to miss my Monday nights because I look forward to, what I do inside City of Port Orange. Sometimes you do things day after day, and it becomes routine. And then you go out and you really see the citizens and the residents and really making a difference, and it kind of just opens your eyes of, oh, this is what I really do, and I enjoy that. So
I think it's really cool, the things that each department does that we take for granted, and you get an inside look at all of that.
Yeah.
And right now what you're doing is advertising, because at some point in time Port Orange University 2 will be coming.
That's right. And actually I put together flyers, and I had them take some so they can share it with their neighbors and friends. And I don't have dates for next year yet, but I told them to stay tuned to our Facebook page, our website, our POG TV. And so looking to start number 2. So, and I've got the best advocates for it. So
Absolutely. Well done.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to the police academy.
Actually, I was telling when Evan did the police last night. I said, Evan, here's your class. You got 29 people right here.
Evan Doyle was recruiting that night.
I was recruiting that night, but that was the whole point, to have police last. So it was a nice teaser for.
That's what's next.
Yep, that was the goal.
Thank you, and thank you all. Appreciate your commitment
Thank you
to the
all.
city.
Thank you.
And with that, we do not meet again until December, which means we get to say right now, what?
We've got a workshop on November 28th.
Well, we don't meet again until November 28th, which is still after Thanksgiving, so we get to say right now,
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a good night. And we are out.
Mayor, that's the golf.